Self-awareness for dynamic leadership. Today we'll be discussing on this topic. So what are the essential ingredients for having an effective leadership and what should be one aware of? The behavior, the skills that needs to be taken care of is what we'll be discussing this particular video. Let us understand the agenda. First and foremost thing is your emotional intelligence. Remember, as long as you are emotionally intelligent, and emotional intelligence is all about self-awareness and self-management for the leadership mantle that you need to take on, to reflect on your personality and considers probably how this actually impacts the leadership qualities and probably the people that you lead. Actually recognize the personality traits that we are looking out here, to explore a range of communication style and consider the implications for leadership, to reflect on the impact of your behaviors, action that have on others and how you perceive them is what we are going to talk in today's presentation. So it is all about the self-awareness, it is all about the traits, it is all about the personality characteristics that one should imbibe into it so that there is an impactful leadership and the team or the organization benefit in general. In a word of a million qualifications, our emotional intelligence will set alongside or apart from others at work. So it is at the end of the day EI, which is the defining parameters that impacts how well you are going to do in your career, be it your professional life or even on your personal front thereby. So believe me or not, it does qualification doesn't matter. How well are you aware of the society and self, and how do you manage yourself and probably relationship in the process? So that is what will take you from one milestone to another. So let us understand, we are judged by how well we handle ourselves and probably each other. So what is our emotional quotient? How do we handle our behaviors? How do we perceive things to be taken care of? Then there is something called out of control emotions can make smart people actually stupid. So that is what, if you look into it, if pertinent behaviors are not supplemented with thoughts, actions, and probably principles, it makes people stupid enough. It doesn't make sense. So, yes, self awareness means to have a deep understanding of one's emotions, as well as one's strengths and probably the weaknesses thereby. What one values, is one's motive, what is the standards or principle that he actually believes in. So, essentially, self awareness is basically understanding of one's emotional, or should I say, complete 360-degree understanding of oneself as to what are my limitations, what are my strengths, what are my advantages, how do I go about it. We should be aware of ourselves. Until and unless we are going to aware of ourselves, how can we explore our strength and probably enhance our values altogether? So self-management, which resembles an inner conversation, the narrative that goes in your head, the narrative that you keep on hearing in your ears. It's your conscious speaking to you. It's the inner conversation, essentially is a component of EI, which frees us from being a prisoners of our feeling, as the case might be. Now, let us understand what do we go about as in recognition and personal competence. If society recognize ourselves and we are personally competent, equally competent for it, it is the case of self-awareness, believe me or not. But if it is the case of recognition from the society and there is a social competence also, that means we are actually aware what is there out lurking. Accordingly we'll prepare it out. Now let us understand, our personal competence has not been compromised at all, but probably it's been highly regulated by the society. Now this is where we are talking about being self-managed. On the other front, when everything has been regulated by the society and it is a high social awareness that comes around it, it is what I call social management, or in simple word, it is called relationship management or relationship building. So we have self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, and social management. This you can replace it with relationship management. So let us understand what are the ingredients of each one of them. As in the case of self-awareness, this is all about yourself. Remember, it is all about your confidence, your emotional state. You, how do you understand yourself, behave yourself, and pay attention to the various nuances or the or anything that is being thrown at you by the society. How do you react is what we are looking into it, and that is what self-awareness is all about. It. Let us understand what is self-management. Now, this is once you are aware of things. Accordingly, you will curtail down your behavior or enhance your behaviors so that it actually matches your awareness conscious level. That is all about self control, being adaptable and open to change, being clear and having integrity, taking the initiative, and able to think before acting. That is what we are looking out here. Let us understand social awareness, picking up the mood on the room. The moment you enter the room, you should be able to pick up the vibes as what exactly has been transcribing, caring for what others are going through, hearing what other people are really saying around it. Yes, this is what is required as of today. Social management, or did I say to replace the word called relationship management? Yes, getting along well with each other. The mere fact that I have removed social management and replaced it with relationship management, you will understand it is basically formation of bond, formation, fostering of relationship, getting along with each other, handling conflict, teamwork, collaboration, leading, influencing, and probably having a sense for others and probably manage interactions successfully. This is exactly what we are being meant with self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, and social management. Remember, it is either on a personal competence or on social competence, which might be regulated, which might be recognized the way you want to throw it out in front. So let us understand what are uh, how to seek to understand yourself and then others. This is what we will be speaking out every now and then. Probably the 7 habits of highly successful people is what to be discussed out here. First and foremost thing, come on, let us understand and be aware of what you are, what is your personality, know it, have reflection. If you don't have reflection, please solicit feedback from your friends, from your family, from your foes and alike. You will see there are certain characteristic or certain words which have been reverting, and believe me or not, and that is an accurate description of your personality. So how would you describe? On the other hand, when you say how would you describe your personality, people may go overboard altogether, but nothing wrong in that going overboard. At least you are aware of the fact that this might not be the personality, but this is the personality that you would love to achieve. So are you an introvert? Are you an extrovert? Are you more aware of different aspects of your personality in a certain situation or a company? What brings the goodness in you? What frustrates or irritates you? And if you have to sum yourself up in 3 words, which all 3 words or which all adjectives will describe you the best? And that is what we are looking at into it. Let us go and make a personality profile all by yourself. There are various kind of personality profile tools available, and I am going to mention some. Probably you have already heard about it. First and the most is MBTI, or Mayer Break Types Indicator. We have Bellmain, we have Pack Types, we have Dope, the Insight System, the Color Works, the Strength Finder. Everything is available. If you just have to Google it out on the net and you'll get it. But my favorite is MBTI, or most prevalent is MBTI. That doesn't mean that Strength Finders, Color Works, which are of the latest version that is being flummoxed in the internet or on the online platform. You may just go about. So, some word of concerns with respect to MBTI. The result of these types of profiling should always be weighted and should be matched. Probably then you can consider it. We know as unique beings have a unique fingerprint. Every one of us. every personality is different, and no two personality can be same. Probably certain dominant emotions of yours and certain dominant emotions in me might be common, but believe me, even it being the most dominant one, the degree of dominance might vary. In your case, it might be 100%. Absolutely, it is overruling every other quotient or characteristics. But in my case, I might be 70% utilizing that particular personality or skills, as the case might be. So that is what we are looking into with every personality. Dear, is different. Traits are not fixed, and definitely takes a different shape in a passage of time. It is important to remember that there is no good trait or bad trait. There is nothing called a better trait or a worse trait. It is just a trait that we are all accustomed to, and which we are all probably are used to implementing, and that is what Myers-Briggs in type indicators is all about. It will give you a broad guidelines. Please do not ascribe to the viewpoints. There might be changes, there are fine nuances which gets very difficult for us to capture, theoretically speaking, no matter which type of indicators that you want to go around it. I am continuing with the Myers-Briggs type indicator, wherein there is somewhere down the corner approximately 16 types of personality is being mentioned altogether. Now, let me go to. I'll just give you a brief introduction to what is all about it. Now, there are something called two major personality skills. One is an introvert, and the other one, the opposite of it, is an extrovert. Now, introvert, how do we go about it? Is where we are having the cognitive function that comes around it. Let us say introvert in terms of feelings, right? So, are we if we are feeling something and we pent up those feelings within us, whether is had it been an extrovert personality, it with the we are still experiencing feeling, but in this case we are expressing it all together. Similarly, for extrovert and introvert, in terms of sensing, we sense certain things, we reveal it, and we may not reveal it. Similarly, for thinking, our thought process, we reveal it, we may not reveal it, based on the basis that whether we are introvert or extrovert. In terms of intentions or intuitions, as the case might be, either we have a sense of premonitions of what are going to actually happen. If it was an extrovert personality, I would have described it, but if I was an introverted person, I would contemplate on it. So this is what we are looking for, and that is what takes a different kind of personality. There are 16 different kind of personalities that comes around it everywhere and every now and then. That is what we are talking about it. Let us describe the personalities as for the worldly figures that comes around it, of which, if you may have heard about it, there might be something called, let's say, we have Mahatma Gandhi, we have Albert Einstein, we have Mother Teresa, you name it, and we have the personalities been there, absolutely there. You know what, why have I said I have not demeaned any of the 16 types of personalities at all. Remember, all those 16 personality might actually flourish in the given situation, in a particular situation, and no personality is either weak or worse, good or bad. Everything has an equal footing. It is the type of exposure that you get into it, and how do you manage it all the way every time and everywhere. So yes, no personality is small, no personality is wrong. Nothing goes absolutely unnoticed. It is only a matter of time before you practice, and you will understand why certain personality can be successful in a particular situation. So let us understand. Did anything surprise you? Probably yes. Probably many people of you might acknowledge it, that when I said 16 types of personality, broadly speaking, that means there has to be certain personality which is good, certain personality might not be ranked very high, but that is something wrong, which I am saying it to you, and I've been establishing it with the previous slide, where we have world leaders talking tall and probably walking steadfastly, and displaying different characteristics of personality, almost all the 16 personalities. So that is what I wanted to do around it. So what did you find most interesting and about completing the MBTI? Was there anything that disagreed with you? People might agree, people might disagree, but I would say that this is one of the most comprehensive, most prevalent personality type indicators uh, right now. So reflection, let us understand how do we go ahead with it. Can we use these descriptors to discuss our colleagues, our team members, our partner, our spouses, our family? How do you go ahead with it? What kind of personality that they comes around it? What implication would this have for your interactions and leadership? And how will you manage them to gain a competitive edge around it? So let us first thing, what your mother would say would always be nurturing a child. The would always safeguarding the child come what may, even as on when on basis. So I know you believe you understand what you think I said, but I am not sure you realize what you heard is not what I meant. It's something which you need to understand with the child. You need to keep on hearing it and listening to it. You remember what I say and what I mean might be two different things altogether, but essentially the content part will be more or less the same as the mothers would have said it to to their children. So basically, for communication child, which is passive aggressive, unpassive aggressive, and assertive. The best one being the assertive. The least one is the passive one where you don't respond altogether, or aggressive, whichever probably you get violent altogether, and so on and so forth. Now, for four communication style, how do we go around it? These are the four things, right? But how do we communicate? One, by our body language, our behaviors, by non-verbal, the way we, again, don't commute at all, but even not commuting is, not communicating is also a way of communicating. Your beliefs based on the principle that you believe in, emotions and goals that's taken care of. That is what we are looking for in terms of communication style. Remember, a passive behavior will always keep quiet, whereas a passive non-verbal will make yourself look small altogether and ignore others' needs are more important than yours. Probably what the belief would be for a passive thinker. Yes, you come at the lower rung of the society. Probably that emotions are probably you love yourself a lot, uh, and definitely don't see yourself getting insulted or rejected by any other person. So the best way to do manage your emotion is to be within yourself. The goals are essentially to avoid conflict. So let us not go for any conflict, and that is what the passive style will entail. Let us come to the aggressive style. When it comes from behavior, you express your feelings, your vehemently and violently at times. If things are going in your way, you will reiterate your feelings time and again. If things are not going your way, you might react aggressively or violently. Non-verbal is you make yourself large, threatening, probably take postures, beliefs is that your needs is the only thing that is important under the sun. In the universe, you are the central character that comes around it. As an aggressive style, emotions are getting very angry and very powerful. Goals are win at any cost and every cost that comes around it. Let us understand what becomes with a passive aggressive. Now, this is where you fail to meet your projected needs, where your non-verbals are usually mimic the passive behaviors, wherein you just retrace your steps, go back into your shell. As a belief, you think that you are entitled, but you are not going to make a noise about it, and that is what we look as a belief part. Emotions is fear that you would be rejected again and being, that's the reason you've been becoming a passive aggressive, and as a result, as on when on time you do express it, but then get right back into your shell. So goals, you get your way without having to take a responsibility, and this is something very which is very wrong, which I believe. So you have to take your duties and responsibilities with the same spirit. You just cannot escape your duties and or probably responsibilities anyway. The best behavior remains assertive. It is your behavior where you become very rational, very logical when you state, put forward your requirements. Non-verbal, the body is absolutely relaxed and you are open to any suggestions, beliefs. Are You understand there is a rationality between what your thoughts, what your needs are, and definitely there's a rationality what other people's thoughts and needs are, and you try to be striking a balance between that. Emotions, you are always positive. It is an emotional positivity person that you go around it. Goals are probably you try to achieve at a win-win, but yes, you express yourself to win all the time. You would strive, you would not like the other person to lose, but at the same time you will never compromise your lost sense every now and then. So let us understand in a very nutshell of what actually happened. In an assertive style, my favorite style is I win, you win, wherein rest all of the style would be I win, you lose, or you win, I lose. But the worst style remains the passive aggressive. I ensure that I lose, but I will also ensure that you also lose. So this is what you go around it. In aggressive style, it is me winning, you losing. In passive style, you winning, I losing. Where there is a clear-cut winner and a loser. In this case, everybody is a winner. But it is in the passive aggressive stage, everybody remains a loser. So basically, how do we communicate? Yes, we communicate through verbal, non-verbal, and paraverbal, or should I say behavioral words. So the tones and the volume, the regulation of conversations in terms paraverbal, in terms non-verbal is how social distancing that you maintain, the gesture, the mimic, the eye contact. Then comes the verbal part. Let us say there are two parts. In terms of written, it is everything is absolutely black and white. You cannot do anything to it. Verbal on the spoken part is implicit styles of speech and significance that takes place around here. It is an implicit styles of speech or significance that needs to be taken care of. Remember your action. It is your action that speaks louder than the words thereby. So let us understand and probably develop my communication style. What is my communication style? Am I assertive? Am I assertive on a higher end or on a lower end? Am I expressive? Am I expressive on the higher end or the lower end? Let us not amalgamate emotion. Based upon it, we can be direct communication style where we are low expressive and high assertiveness. So that is where I actually say what needs to be done. But what happens when the emotions are on a low assertiveness? That your focus, or should I say, a locus of control is on a lower side, and expressive is also low. So you go with the flow. That is what systematic communication style will go around it. But what happens when you are again low assertive but high expressive? So here in the case where you would like to have persuasive language, be considerate, probably looking at yourself and giving chances to the other party altogether. But my favorite style is the spirited one, where I am not only assertive but also highly expressive, where I not only express what is required and why is it required, I make ensure that everybody follows it out. It is a spirited response, a spirited communication style that needs to be taken care for. Yes, this is my favorite one. Remember, it is the perception that matters. If you look for yourself as a mouse, you will end up being a mouse. You will always mimic to be the mouse. But if you think yourself to be the king of the jungle, as in the pic I'm showing it to you, there's a cat which is sitting in front of a mirror and imagining himself to be the lion. You will actually look like a lion to your foes and friends alike. So manage those perception. Can you build that perception all by yourself? Inside, you might not be very confident, but if you portray confidence outwardly, people are going to be led by you. People are going to have trust in you, faith in you, and they will do probably complete the impossible of tasks all the way. So let us understand, as a leader, what do you want to communicate successfully or lead people? Remember, we are talking about self-awareness for dynamic leadership. You should always get feedback. You should always walk your talk. You should ensure whatever you say, you should be there. Be aware of the effects that you have on the others. And that is what reflection we should be going around it. We should ensure that there is a camaraderie, there is a network, there is a bonding among the team member. They should trust each other, and this trust needs to be reiterated time and again. Reflecting on feedback, how do you know how you are perceived by your colleagues? Do you actively seek opportunities to get feedback on your performance? When was the last time you received feedback, formal or informal, on your development? Do you feel more or less motivated? What did you do with the feedback, as the case might be? Yes, what we are looking forward to it. Now, let us understand this 360-degree feedback, as the case might be. We would be winding up with this particular slide. 360-degree feedback is the process by which employee receives confidential, anonymous feedback from people who work around it. This typically might be your seniors, might be your juniors, might be your peers, the managers. Anybody and everybody can give a self evaluation, and that is what a 360-degree feedback would entail, and ensure that there is a particularness of your self awareness. Remember, your self awareness will ensure how effective a leader that you are going to be. With these words, I finish this particular presentation. Thank you for watching this video.